Alright, so here I'm just going to show you how to get started with version control using GitHub. We're going to focus on how to link up a remote repository on GitHub with a local repository so you can push and pull changes from your local to your remote. And I'm also going to show you how to set up version control within a new R project. Okay, so first off, you're going to need to have a GitHub account. So you can just go to the GitHub page here, and you have to sign up, create an account. It's free. There are like paid options, but you really won't need that like for a class or anything. The free version's, adequate. There's also versions, I believe, for like companies, if you want to like enterprise level. But again, that's not necessary. So you just basically need to set up a free account. Okay, so once you've set up GitHub, you're going to have a GitHub site. So you're going to have a username, which mine is Maxwell Geospatial. Now, you probably want to pick a username that you like, or because that's how people will see you on GitHub, or if you share, collaborate with people, or if you put like a pull request or something in, that's the name that they'll see. Okay, so initially you're not going to have any repos under your repo list here. So to initiate a repo, you just simply click on New. And what you want to do is not click on anything. So just leave everything to the defaults. This owner should be you, and then the repository name here is whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to call it my repo example. And yeah, so I'm not going to maintain this. I'm going to delete it when I'm done with the example here. You can also add a description if you want. I would recommend, again, not clicking anything here, so don't add a readme file or anything. We're going to do that from the local. Okay, and then all you have to do is hit create repo, and then GitHub should launch this page that actually helps you set up your local. So we're going to basically follow the commands here to set this up. Okay, so I'm going to, first off, I need to have a location on my computer where I want to set up my local. So I'm going to just go to my D drive here, and let's create a new folder. I'm going to call it Git Example 2. Again, this is something I'm just going to get rid of. So I'm going to use this folder. Okay, so in order to set this up, I need to install some. I'm on Windows, so I need to have Git Bash. So if you need to set that up, you can look that up. So that's not there. There we go. All right. So anyway, for Windows, there's this Git Bash. So if you go to Windows here, and then that'll allow you to run things at the command line in a Bash terminal on Windows to set up and everything. So you need to set that up, and then it'll work. It's pretty simple. Okay, so and also I'm on Windows, but there are tools for Mac and Linux OS. It's actually a lot easier on Linux because Bash is already there. Okay, so that's that. Now, once you have that installed, you should have a Git Bash tool. I'm just going to search for it real quick. Okay, so I'm just launching it here. Okay, so it looks something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Control Plus a couple times here to make it bigger so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll expand this out a bit. Okay, so the first thing I need to do, actually let me open back up my my repo here. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is initiate this as a repo. So I'm going to, well, actually first I need to actually go into the folder that I'm going to use. So at the command line here, you can do that with change directory, so CD, and then the path to the directory. So this is D, and then Git Example 2. And that should be the directory. Okay, so now I'm in this directory. Now what I want to do is initiate it as as a for version control. Oops. So let me go back here to the repo page. So we're going to do git init. And you see here it says initialize empty git repository at that location. And if we go back to this folder, we now have this git folder. This may be hidden, meaning you might not be able to see it. You might have to turn on hidden folders to see it. So anyway, that's there. So now let's just add some content to this. So I'm just going to create some files real quick. So I'm going to do let's see, we'll just do it. I'm just going to create a text file. I'm going to call it readme, and we'll do .md here. This is yelling at me for changing the extension, but that's okay. All right, and then I'm just going to open this with the plain text editor real quick, and I'm just going to add in some stuff. So this is a markdown file, so I'm going to add in, let's call this title. I'm just building out a very simple framework here. Okay, so I just put in some headers there. So section 1, section 2, section 3. And I'm going to hit save. And then I'm just going to add another file. I'm going to say it's like a Python file. So I'm going to go my PyScript. And I'm just going to put a .py on the end, so it's Python file. There we go. All right, so I have some content now in this folder. So now what I need to do is actually add those changes and then create a commit. So we're going to do that. So I basically did this manually. So instead of just adding the README, I'm going to add everything in the folder. And you do that with just simply git add and then period. And that's just a shorthand for adding everything. Okay. Cool. So now that doesn't actually create a commit or like a save point. Instead, it's just getting things ready. So to actually add that, you can just do a commit. So we're just going to add in here this line. So we'll do paste here. So git commit -m means message here, and then this is the first message. So I just put in first commit. When you do add in comment or the commit messages, they should be somewhat descriptive, but generally you try to keep them short, like under 50 characters. Okay, so that should actually create a save point if we hit that, and it'll tell you what it did here. So it's showing here that it added 2 files in. Okay, so now we want to link this up to the remote. So if I do git, we're just going to do branch -m main. So we're basically just defining this is the main branch here. And then we want to do this. So this adds the remote. So this links it to the remote. So basically it's just git remote add origin and then the URL to that page, or which we're just getting here. So I just copied that verbatim because it's linked to this actual repo. Okay, so if I run that, that should set up the link between the remote and the local. And then lastly, we just want to push what we did on the local, added these files to the remote. And we can just do that here with this last line. Okay, so git push and then origin main. Now if we run this, it should push those changes up for us. It looks like that worked. Okay, so if it did work, if we go back here to code now, we should see those 2 files, and then it's reading the README file, and it's just putting my section headings in there. Okay, so that's that. So as you make changes to your local and you want to push it up to your remote, then you basically just have to do, let's just go through let's just do a second commit real quick, actually. So I'm going to go in here and change this README file. So I'm just going to open this in a text editor here and go say, explain purpose of repo of, well, let's do project. Some background info, how to use code. Maybe we'll say we'll add in contact info. Anyway, I'm just putting in some text. And so that's saved. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another like empty script. So we'll call this my py script 2.py. Okay, so I added a file and I made changes to the README file. Okay, so now I want to go back in here and do another git add. And then we're just going to do another commit. So we'll do git commit message, and then we'll have a new message. I'll say added, let's see, new script added. I don't know. And that should push the changes and create a save point in your local there. So it's saying here that 2 files changed, 1 file was added. Okay, and now we just need to push that back up to the repo. So basically you just do the same thing that we did here. So git push origin main. I actually don't think you have to put in the U now since this is new. Let's just try git push origin main. Oh, there it went. Never mind. Right there. Okay, so that looks like that worked. So anyway, I just used the same command. And then if we go back here, and I'm just going to refresh the page. Now you can see I've added in that text and then added in that other script and whatnot. Okay, cool. So that's pretty simple. Again, there's a lot more you can do in terms of like collaborating. You can, forking someone else's repo and then like making changes and then submitting a pull request, stuff like that. The main thing I just wanted to show you here was how to actually link up your local and your remote. And again, the main reason you would do this is so you can basically save your changes, and also that you're backing your project up to a remote repo. So if something would happen to your local copy. Okay, cool. So that's that. So now let's look at. Just gonna close all this stuff out. So now I'm gonna open up our studio, and I'm just gonna show you how to set up a new project where it's already gonna be linked to a remote. Okay, so our studio is launched here. So I'm going to open up a new project. I'm going to do File, New Project. I'll have to wait a second there for it to load. Okay, so now when we create this new project, we want to do version control, and we're just going to use Git. Again, there's different version control tools. I'm just demonstrating Git. So there you go. So this is the repo URL. So we need to set up a remote. So over here on my GitHub page, I'm just going to go to New, and we'll just do my R project 2. You'd probably want better names than this, obviously, but I'm just, again, deleting these. So we'll do create repository there. All right, cool. And then we need the URL, which we can just use this. So grab that. So we need to tell it the URL. and then give it a name. So we'll just use that there. We'll just throw up in this folder. And you can obviously put it in a different folder if you want. Okay, so we'll do create project. Okay, so now we have this new project, and let's just add some content. So I'm going to do new, R script, and we'll just do a save. And again, let's call it my script. My script 1.r. And you can see that gets added there. I'm just also going to add in a new, we'll just do a new markdown file. So there we now have a markdown file and an R script file. Okay, so now if I wanted to push those changes, I would just go up here to this Git button. That won't be there unless you set this up with version control. And then we're just going to click on this commit button. And then we'll pull up this window, and we want to click on the files that we want to track. So we're just going to set up the, let's see, we'll do the project file and then the script file here. I don't need to track the proj file probably, but we'll leave that in there. Okay, and then we'll just do initial commit, and we'll do commit. Okay, so it's telling us that we basically had added 3 files there. Okay, so that saves it to your local, so you have a local local timestamp or a local save, and then to push it to your remote, we just click on push here, and then that'll push out to the remote. Okay, so now if we go to this site on GitHub, so back to code here, then you can see it has all that content there. So as you work in R, you can just continue to add commits and back up your work to the remote. Okay, so anyway, there's a lot more you can do, obviously, with version control and Git, but I just wanted to show you the simple task of, again, linking like a local and a remote, and doing and pushing things out to your remote so you can save and back stuff up.